All right, so we are live on Facebook. Let me jump back in here and we will get started on this side as well. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another edition of Smart with Your Money Live. My name is Felipe Arevalo. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator here at DebtWave Credit Counseling, San Diego Financial Literacy Center. And we do this presentation every other Wednesday, different topics. So I'm glad you're able to join us today. And hopefully we'll get to see you all again at a future presentation. If you're watching this post in record, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, or whatever other social media, thank you for taking the time to watch. Hopefully you can learn something today, and maybe this is a very interesting one. It's something where, you might be able to apply it to your everyday life, or you might, see that why maybe you have some inclination to spend, save, or invest your money in certain ways. So we'll get started. First of all, I'm not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, and this does have a lot of psychology aspects. So I did take a lot of research from other sources, which I will note. It's just my couple psychology, sociology classes I took in college, and my subscription to Psychology Today does not make me a pro at this by any means. But I do understand money, and I do deal with people and their money on a regular basis. So it is some useful info, and we'll get started here if it clicks over to the next screen. All right, money disorders. First, quick definition: it's persistent patterns of self-destructive and self-limiting financial behaviors. It develops from an early age, or from events that happened potentially at a very early age, from what are called financial flashpoint experiences. And those are painful, distressing things and events that happened with money in the past. And all this research, and it's a great book, a great resource. If this is something you're interested in, check it out. Mind Over Money: Overcoming the Money Disorders That Threaten Our Financial Well-Being, or Financial Health. And that's by Dr. Brand Kluntz, and I believe his son, Ted, as well. So if this is interesting and this sparks something like, oh, I want to learn more about this, definitely a positive thing to go take a look at that and read up on it some more. I know I will, because it was very interesting to put this presentation together. So as people come in, thank you for joining us, and we'll continue. The money disorders are categorized into three different main categories. Those are money avoidance disorders, money worshiping disorders, and money relational disorders. And in each one of the disorders that I cover today will have it'll underneath, I've noted which one of the categories it falls into, so you can kind of follow along with it that way. I'm not going to cover all the money disorders just because of a time. We don't want to make this could be, I could go on for hours, but we want to keep these short and sweet and to the point. So I'm not going to cover all of them, but it is definitely something where you might want to read up some more on some of these, and if this is something that interests you, go ahead and oops, sorry, I'm trying to manage the feed here, so I think I accidentally just asked someone to unmute yourself, so I apologize. But we'll start with one. Financial denial. This is a big one. We see it, unfortunately, a lot of times when it comes to debt, when it comes to usually negative financial situations. Is just avoiding the conversation altogether. And this can manifest in different ways. Maybe not really taking a look at your statements, setting up like an automatic minimum payment, and then just kind of forgetting about it and go on spending, without, making that actual change. And it's kind of one of those where if I just don't see it, maybe it just won't be real. But really, you want to address your financial situation. The awareness of, pulling your credit report, making a list of all your creditors, how much debt is really there. Knowing your financial situation is not going to make it any worse. All it does is it gives you a starting point. It gives you somewhere to build from. And you always want to be aware. So, work on this one if this is the case. I know at times in my early 20s, this was probably my go-to in some of those college years where overspending was just something I was doing. And I don't really know exactly how much debt I have. I know it's there. I know I'm going to have to handle it later, but I just don't want to deal with it now. So that's a big one. And if you watch these before, join us for other swim lives, you'll notice I like using the GIFs. Some of these won't have them. I try to use them when appropriate, but sometimes, these are more serious topics. So I have them on some slides, not on all of them. Financial rejection, where an individual doesn't feel worthy of their money, and they don't feel worthy of having more money, or they want to avoid more money because it may bring in more problems. And this happens sometimes if someone inherits money, for example, and all of a sudden there's that guilt that comes along with it, and wanting to just avoid, like, I don't even know if I want that money, so there's that rejection of money. And then some of you might be sitting there thinking, oh, I would never reject money, but it is a thing. And again, all of these would kind of manifest differently in each individual, and it's going to be case by case. There's the underspending, which is another money avoidance disorder where, someone may refuse, they have the means, they have the ability to go do things or spend money on themselves or whatever it is, but they just don't feel that it's all right to do it, or they just don't want to spend the money. And, that could be a good thing, not wanting to spend more money. I could have used some of this in my earlier years. But sometimes it's to a detriment where it's, you really should go out and spend a little more on yourself, on your health, on your healthy eating, or whatever the case may be. So there is the potential to be an underspender, where you really should turn on the heater or the air conditioning, because it's worth the extra $20 to not be freezing all night trying to wrap up in 15 blankets. If it's something that you can do, maybe you spend that money. The next financial avoidance disorder in this case is excessive risk aversion, where individuals have a very big aversion to the risk of losing money. And we all have different risk tolerances when it comes to investing. We all have, in today's market, big thing in this week's news has been the cryptocurrency market. Very volatile, up, down, who knows how many points up or down it is at this moment. And by the time you're watching this later, it could be 20% in either direction. That's very stressful to a lot of people who don't want to deal with it. And even then, in more severe cases, or people who are very, very risk adverse, they may even have a hard time trusting the regular banking system, and even if FDIC insured banks, and putting deposits in there. So they may be putting their money away in a mattress or in their freezer or wherever it is, because they don't trust the risk. It's too much risk to go put my money in a savings account or something like that, where really, if it's FDIC insured, your money's about as safe as it's going to get in a bank. It's safer than under your mattress or in your freezer. So it is important. We all have different investment risk tolerance, so that's not necessarily the case, where you might look at it and be like, I can't invest in crypto, give me some mutual funds, give me some ETFs or something. That's different. This is a more severe case. And you have pathological gambling, where individuals who have this feel the urge to go gambling. And this is a long-term thing. So gambling becomes a constant. Gambling becomes an issue, and it's something where it starts to become a financial problem. Maybe they hide it from a significant other, which is another one coming up down the road. Maybe they As you got to gamble more and more to get that same feeling, that same excitement that they once got from the smaller amounts. So it's at the point where perhaps they've lost control over how much or how often they're gambling their money. So definitely, there's groups and hotlines that you can call if gambling is an issue. And you definitely want to make sure that if you're gambling responsibly, and it starts to become a problem, you try and address it, and seek professional help, because gambling can be very detrimental in the long run. And this isn't, you had one weekend in Vegas last, and you played a few dollars at the sports book, or you sat down at a table for 15-20 minutes and spent a dinner's worth. That's not the case. This is constant, habitual, over time gambling. This one's a very popular one. I've done it. Maybe you have as well. I know like 95% of the people I know at some point or another have had a little bit of overspending. It's human nature. We want to spend money on ourselves. Like, I'm holding back from a Home Depot run right now, and I got some things I need to buy. And we had Amazon Prime Day the last few days. This is the first time, and I don't know, since the beginning of Amazon Prime, that I didn't spend a single dollar on Amazon Prime Day. I even had a gift card and didn't spend money, which surprises me. I had to check my own temperature. Even last year when I told myself I wasn't, I did go out and spend money. So, there's that overspending, and it becomes detrimental when it starts to have that negative effect where, maybe you're to the point where income isn't even enough. And this is where credit card debt or other types of debt start to creep in. And it can be a problem, and it could be something where, individuals who have that overspending disorder, at some point potentially even stop thinking about the money and the consequences, and we've all, I don't know, I would say all of us, but I know I've checked out sometimes at the grocery store, and now that they have a little tap and pay, for example, where, they're still scanning the groceries, I've already paid, and I don't even think to check what my balance is until I'm walking out the door with my receipt, like, oh man, did they overcharge me? I have no clue. They could have put, instead of, 6 cucumbers, they could have done accidentally hit 60 cucumbers. And all of a sudden I'm, buying $100 worth of cucumbers. And it's something where I put my little card on there and put everything in the cart and walked out without ever paying attention. And I dislike myself when I do that. But spending can be easy in today's world. We can pay with our phones. We can pay by tapping the card. There's just so many ways that overspending could be a problem. And sometimes that overspending leads to hoarding, whether it's hoarding money or hoarding the items that you purchase that you think you may need. That can be an issue as well. Have I ever been accused of hoarding? Many times. I'll be honest, my wife thinks that I'm still hoarding, because I have too many work shirts, and I may or may not have more shoes than my wife. I don't know. I don't want to count them, but it's something where, it's an easy habit to get into, and I think a lot of times it happens over time. It's a gradual thing. It's not like you went out and bought. Or it's not like I went out, I should stop saying you and just say me. It's not like I went out and bought 20 shirts. It's just that over time, like, oh, that's a cool polo, I could wear that. Oh, that's a cool button up. Oh, look, they got a sale. I might as well stock up now, without realizing that I don't need to stock up. I already stocked up for the last 2 years. So you want to make sure that you have that, spring cleaning. It's a real thing, and try and, keep that under control as much as possible. And have it be something where you take a step back. Do I really need another pair of shoes? For me, the answer is yes. I'm just still working on it. I need a pair of running shoes. I don't have one of those. Those ones wore out, so, but I have to try and keep myself in check, and have it be something where I don't turn into like a hoarding person who's on the TV. It was, my wife and I are in the process of packing for a move, And I realized I did have a lot of shirts. So, I offered them to my dad and he got a bunch of new free shirts. Um, Financial infidelity. This one's a fun one. This one applies. We see it all the time. So we turned it into our next swim live. I know if this is the reason you came to this one, I apologize. But hopefully you'll be able to join us in 2 weeks for swim live. We're not done with this one. I just wanted to throw this shameless plug in here. But July 7th at same time. And you can register using the little QR code there or through Eventbrite like you did, or through the websites like you did for this one. But financial infidelity, we see it a lot. It's very interesting. We've had podcast episodes on it, and that we saved that one for a whole swim live by itself in 2 weeks. So hopefully you weren't here this week just specifically for that one. But if you are, I apologize. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Next one is financial incest. And examples of this include, using a child kind of as a go-between in financial arguments between couples, especially in cases of divorce, things like that. Expecting child to keep financial secrets, and I don't know that it means, hey, don't tell your mom we stopped at McDonald's if it happens once here and there, and I got you that ice cream. It's not my fault the ice cream machine wasn't actually broken this time. And it's something where, but this could be bigger financial secrets. Although I don't think that's the case. I avoid that situation with my kids. Like, I catch myself sometimes like, don't tell your mom. But then I remind myself like, no, that's all right. He wants to tell his mom that we stopped and got Jack in the Box. That's all right. I'm not hiding it from my wife. It's just, it's more of a funny thing that I did. And I realized it's with kids, you got to be really careful with the way you they pick up on everything. So if you got little ones laying or sitting around, running around, doing whatever, they making a lot of noise, which mine do, be careful with the way you talk about money. We should do another swim live on that, talking to kids about money and how we sometimes mess up, myself included. And pressuring the child to work excessively to pay for bills, especially as they get a little older. It's okay to put a little bit more responsibility on your children as they get older, but you don't want to make it something where they're obligated to go out and help pay the bills. And these two kind of go hand in hand. These are my last two here. I know we're running on time, so I don't want to keep you too long. And I want to make sure I leave time for questions. But financial enabling kind of goes hand in hand with financial dependency. Financial enabling is when oftentimes a parent, not necessarily a parent, but oftentimes a parent may allow their children and enable them to, maybe not take on some new responsibilities and always bail them out financially. Oh, you built credit card debt? It's all right, I got you. And the movie Step Brothers just came to mind. And then financial dependency is the other individual, the other half of that formula, where depending on someone else to always bail them out, depending on someone else to help pay for their expenses if they put themselves in a tight spot, or being dependent of others, of a spouse. It can happen between spouses. It can be the financial enabler. Oh, you spent too much at Target. That's all right. I got you. Here, take some of this money and we'll fix it. And then next month, oh, you did it again. That's all right. I'll just go work a few extra hours and we're good. And that can be that same relationship within a couple. Again, this is just quick overview. I'm not a PhD. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist. So, but I do read a lot. So, reading material for you here. If this is something that was interesting and you want to really get in depth and really get the information at the source, the book Mind Over Money, Overcoming Money Disorders. Also, DebtWave San Diego Financial Literacy Center has a Smart With Your Money workbook, and it has a chapter on money disorders. So you can find that on the website and read it over as well as part of the full comprehensive money workbook that we have available. And you can continue learning anytime. We've done episodes on similar topics and many more on our Talk Wealth to Me podcast. Get it wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Spotify, or listen to it on our website, whatever it is. We love feedback. We love ideas. And we'd love to hear more. And so like us, subscribe, follow us. Any questions? And also I wanted to remind you again, I know I mentioned it earlier, next episode, financial infidelity. We'll do the whole swim live on this one very interesting and very common, unfortunate money disorder. So stay tuned for that. Join us, and hopefully, maybe we'll turn some of these other disorders into upcoming swim lives where we can take more time to cover just the one specific one. I'd be happy to take any more questions and answer them best I can. Can you change your money mindset? That is a great question. Yes, you can absolutely change. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you can change your money mindset. And that's something I tell people all the time. You can change, just if you don't like your financial situation or the financial trajectory that you're on now, having that knowledge, taking the time to learn as much as you can, and making that conscious decision of, I'm going to change this. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be like changing the oil on your car and happen really quickly. It's something where you can, with time, make that change. And it absolutely, you can change your mindset. Just like you could change, your personality traits and all that, you can change your money personality traits too. Believe it or not, I used to be deathly afraid of public speaking. I do a couple hundred presentations a year, and I love it. You can change. Someone mentioned another question: is the workbook I mentioned free? The book, that part's not the workbook though. The Smart With Your Money workbook is definitely free. We like to provide as many resources, educational resources as possible, free. You can download it for free on the website, either DebtWave or SDFLC, and talk to if you're part of the debt management program, next time you talk to your customer service counselor, have them send you a link, and it is absolutely free. So is the test that you could take afterwards. Test is not mandatory, but you can take a test and get a certificate of completion if you'd like as well. Again, get it on the website, debtwave.org, and find that workbook. It's free. It's great. It's not terrible reading. It's fun to, if you like money a little or you're just interested in it, it's a good read. It's not going to take you weeks to finish. How did I stop my overspending as a money mindset? For me personally, it was concentrating more on my goals, reading about it and realizing what was going on, and then concentrating on my goals. What do I want to accomplish? When do I want to accomplish it by? And I got better at it in my mid-20s. And I feel like as kids and marriage came into the picture, I really buckled down, because all of a sudden I had something to work for. Previous to that, I was saving money, but I didn't have, it triggers a lot of new goals. And I'm big on goal setting. I'm big on, this is my goal. This is my target date. Let's get it done. Not saying I reach every single one of my goals, and not saying I don't still sometimes overspend. But for me, it was that finding the goals, writing them down, and saying, look, this is it. You got to get this done by this day, and you got to get this done by that date. You might surprise yourself. You might accomplish goals that you thought along the way wasn't going to happen in that time frame, and maybe they do. But you do got to make that conscious decision, and try and ask yourself, do I need this? Do I want this? And what decisions can I change on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, that will help me accomplish my financial goals in the quickest, most efficient way possible, whatever those goals are: paying off debt, buying a car, buying a house, saving for retirement, short term, long term, doesn't matter. There's a swim live on that as well, and a bunch of podcast episodes. But yes, you can absolutely change your money mindset. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take a lot of determination, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It's not that it's trust me. I was an overspender. I made some bad financial decisions, and you can turn it around. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us again. I hope this was informational, a little bit entertaining, or maybe a little bit of both. I appreciate you joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all July 7th or at a future Smart With Your Money live presentation. Thank you everybody for joining, and hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and thanks for stopping by.